Van Jones recently did David Axelrod's podcast, and he really took a sledgehammer and a battle axe to the idea of safe spaces on college campuses.
I got tough talk for my liberal colleagues on these campuses. And they don't tend to like it, but they tend to like me, so I can get away with it. So I'm going to keep trying to push.
Let's test the proposition.
Exactly. I want to push this. There are two ideas about safe spaces. One is a very good idea, and one is a terrible idea. The idea of being physically safe on a campus, not being subjected to sexual harassment and physical abuse or something like that, or being targeted specifically personally for some kind of hate speech, you are an N-word or whatever, perfectly fine with that. Perfectly fine with that. But there's another view that is now, I think, ascendant, which I think is just a horrible view, which is that I need to be safe ideologically. I need to be safe emotionally. I just need to feel good all the time. And if someone says something that I don't like, that is a problem for everybody else, including the administration. And I think that is a terrible idea for the following reason. I don't want you to be safe ideologically. I don't want you to be safe emotionally. I want you to be strong. That's different. I'm not going to pave the jungle for you. Put on some boots and learn how to deal with adversity. I'm not going to take all the weights out of the gym. That's the whole point of the gym. This is the gym. You can't live on a campus where people say stuff you don't like, and these people can't fire you. They can't arrest you. They can't beat you up. They can just say stuff you don't like, and you get to say stuff back. And this you cannot bear. This is ridiculous BS. Liberals, my parents, and Monica Elizabeth Peake's parents, hello Monica, were marched. They dealt with fire hoses. They dealt with dogs. They dealt with beatings. You can't deal with a mean tweet? You are creating a kind of liberalism that the minute it crosses the street into the real world is not just useless, but obnoxious and dangerous. I want you to be offended every single day on this campus. I want you to be deeply aggrieved and offended and upset, and then to learn how to speak back. Because that's what we need from you in these communities.
That was 100% correct, in my opinion. And he's not saying, don't get it twisted, he's not saying you can't argue back vociferously and fiercely against what you believe to be backwards opinions, primitive opinions, illogical opinions, irrational opinions. You get to argue back as much as you want because it cuts both ways. If you're giving the freedom of speech to, the most loathsome people on campus, which you should do, well, yeah, then argue back and argue back with heart and argue back as much as possible and use your best arguments and be aggressive. And I'm down with shouting fests, man. You guys want to get up in each other's faces as long as it doesn't get physical and as long as it doesn't come to blows? That's great. I'm fine with, this heated debate. And I'm also fine with, on a college campus, yeah, people can be massively, tremendously, gigantically, colossally wrong, and it's fine. And I do think, I am of the belief that in the long run, the good ideas beat the bad ideas, bar, extenuating circumstances. By and large, the good ideas beat the bad ideas in the realm of public opinion and in the free marketplace of ideas. So he's not saying, hey, let me handcuff you and now let the conservatives run wild and say anything. He's saying, let the conservatives run wild and then you run wild back, bitch. So, but the main point is you don't censor, you don't ban, you don't create these, the ideological equivalent of a padded room in an insane asylum, because that's a bad idea. And my argument is actually a little different from Van Jones in that I simply say safe spaces, that's not liberal. Complaining about microaggressions, that's not liberal. Saying you're triggered, that's not liberal. None of it's liberal. That's not liberal. That's not progressive. It's not open-minded. It's not tolerant. It is authoritarian. So when you look at the political spectrum in a linear way, and it's just the left and the right, that's a limiting way to look at it. What we should really do is look at the quadrant one, where you have, upper left, upper right, bottom left, bottom right, and on the left-hand side, you have the authoritarian left and the libertarian left. The libertarian left on social issues says, you do what you want, man. Freedom, liberty, you do whatever you want, say what you want. It's your body, it's your life, it's your business. I think they're right. They're economically leftist, but socially they're like, whatever, man, to each their own. What we're seeing with safe spaces and microaggressions and trigger warnings, that's authoritarian leftism, because it's not a leftism that says live and let live. It's a leftism that says, I want to ban conservative talkers on campuses. I want to, censor the free speech of these people because it makes me feel a certain way. And what Van Jones is saying there is, no, fuck that. Don't do that. That's stupid. Let them talk, and then you give the speech after and rip them to shreds. That's the point I always make. So, but I don't view it as liberal. I don't view these people as progressive. I view them as authoritarian first and foremost. And they might not agree with that categorization of them, but it's a blind spot they have, because that's what they are. Anytime you're telling somebody, I don't want you to talk, shut the fuck up, I need to protect my feelings, well, then you're authoritarian. And as a final point here, what I want to say is, whatever happened to you're wrong? Wrong. Whatever happened to that? You're wrong. You're wrong. Whatever happened to that? Whatever happened to I disagree with you? You're wrong. You are factually wrong. Because that's the answer. When you have a loathsome son of a bitch like Richard Spencer, who is basically a neo-Nazi. I mean, he refuses to condemn Hitler in clear terms, dances around it, as we covered with the segment that David Pakman did, the great segment. When you have somebody who's a neo-Nazi, who refuses to condemn Hitler, who uses Nazi terms like Lügenpresse, who really does believe in the superiority of white people, those ideas are not only offensive and and ridiculous, they're just factually wrong. Like, you are not right that you are a superior breed of human. It's always, people in fucking KKK dress, 327 pounds, farting, the opposite of a physical specimen, drooling on their bib of an outfit. I'm the Grand Poobah. Well, I'm the Grand Wizard. Who, will turn around and say, and we're superior. You look like a bunch of idiots because you are. So you can beat them in the realm of ideas, even though their ideas are so beyond the pale and so outside the realm of respectability and legitimacy. That means that they're your fucking punching bag. They're your ideological punching bag. So for the left to withdraw and say, I just want to ban you and pretend you don't exist, well, then you're pushing those ideas underground where they're more likely to thrive because there's no counter argument to say, here's why you're wrong and here's why you're a group of fucking idiots. So Van Jones is 100% right, and the answer is you allow the debate, you allow the discussion, and by the way, in many instances on college campuses, that just simply means somebody saying, you're wrong, here's why you're wrong, and then you rip them a new asshole, and then you move along. So I'm just trying to stress that just because you allow a Ben Shapiro or Steven Crowder or Milo Yiannopoulos to talk on campus doesn't mean that you're saying they have legitimacy. Or, their ideas make sense. Quite the opposite. I'd love to book people who I think are the dumbest fucking people on the planet if I, ran a college. Give me somebody who's a fucking literally believes in Scientology. I'll have that motherfucker give a speech. That'll be entertaining as a motherfucker. So you just the answer to bad speech is more speech. It's not banning speech. And this is why the only leftism that makes sense is libertarian leftism and not authoritarian leftism. And I think we create way more people on the left when you embrace libertarian leftism and not authoritarian leftism.